Hi all, Corey here. So we are at the low buy March of 2026. We've been doing this since January 1st and we're going to see how March went. And I'm doing this to show, I guess, my situation, and hopefully people can learn from it and maybe relate and learn how to be better with their finances and etc, etc. And I also like getting tips from you guys. So it's a little, you guys need, I think you need some backstory, so I might have to add some backstory to understand more. But as of right now, March is finished. I'm filming this video on April 3rd. It's a Friday. I'm off work. So the outs, which is what I've spent for March, okay? And it is incredibly high compared to January and February. And I spent $8,156.23 this month. This is not, these videos are not done to brag. Like I mentioned before, it's a bit embarrassing for me, for my situation. I don't like being in debt, but I just think it could help somebody, so I'm doing it. Now I wrote everything down, so I have actually 3 pages of outs where the money went. I grouped it this time. Instead of like listing everything, I grouped it. So we spent $935.80 on groceries this month. Now that is a lot for a family of 3, and mostly that is because we were doing the pantry challenge, if you remember, if you've been following along with this channel. So we've been doing the pantry challenge since January 1st, and I made it like January, February, into March. I think I made it almost 3 months without having to buy anything huge, and then I got into the situation of needing to buy one thing to finish other things, so that's fine. So what we did was all the meat and the protein was gone out of the house. There's none in my freezers, fridges. So we paid Butcher Box. Now I'm not sponsored by them because I know they sponsor some YouTube videos, and so that Butcher Box alone cost us like $255, and it gets delivered to your door, and it's fantastic. So far the quality is so amazing, the flavor is so amazing that it's worth every penny. So my freezer is full of all kinds of meat proteins. I got steak and hamburger meat and chicken skewers and chicken breast and bacon. I have everything. So yeah, a big chunk went to that. Which is fine. And then you're always buying your necessities and your staples and butter and milk and all that stuff. So it was a bit high, and that's because, like I said, we were doing the pantry challenge, so we really got down to almost nothing. So we're gonna see how it goes from there. Now that we've stocked up a bit, I won't be buying meat until it runs out, right? So maybe it'll balance out during the month. We also spent $445.81 on restaurants this month, and that's just what I paid. The man paid some also, so that was definitely higher than usual, and I'll get into why. I host a Canadian Pony Collectors Extravaganza. If you don't know, it's a pony toy convention for vintage toys, and I've been doing that for a few years now, so that's like a business kind of. So it's coming up in August, so I had to buy some stuff. So I paid $738.48 on extravaganza stuff like decorations. I had to pay the rental hall. The hall alone is $400 to rent, so that's like a business expense, but I still have to pay for it. Now, debt repayment. Why I spent so much money in March was because I paid $4,239.73 on debt repayment. If you've been following me along, you know I had credit cards and I had a line of credit. So the line of credit is officially at 0. I paid everything off this month. I was looking at my financial situation and how much money I had in the bank and how much I could do without, I guess you could say. And I decided, instead of making small payments throughout each month, I said, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to pay it off right away. I'm going to get rid of it. And that's what I did. So the first half of the month, I was so happy and things were going great and everything. And I was in a good mood. I don't talk about my mental health very much, but I know I suffer from depression, and sometimes I suffer from what I call crippling depression, where I don't do nothing. Where other days I just go about my day and I'm always sad. And that's a fact. And I've never got any help for it or whatever, and I'm not going to, because I don't go to doctors either, so that's another thing. So anyways, I was so happy, and I am so happy that now my line of credit is at 0. I closed the line of credit, because when you pay it off completely, you have the option to close, because you could leave it open if you want, in case you need it. But I said no, so it got closed right away. And if you've been following along, you know I have 3 bank accounts for different reasons. One bank account was because it was attached to the line of credit. Another bank account I have is because it's attached to my son's school fund I've had since he was born. And then I have my main account. So I was with different banks, but they had moved away, or we had moved. So they became too far to go to, and at the time we didn't have any transportation, so we just changed banks, but we never closed the banks, because I can't close the bank because the school thing is attached, and I couldn't close the bank because the line of credit is attached. So it was all paid off, and we, if you do the math for those 4 things, groceries, restaurant food, debt repayment, and the extravaganza pony things, if you delete that from the 8,156, it leaves about 1,795 of miscellaneous money spent. So basically what happened was March 3rd was my anniversary with my man. We have been together 32 years, and we're still going, which is pretty amazing. We've been together longer than most people are married, actually. And technically we're not married. We're not married on paper, but who cares? So we celebrated an anniversary. So I bought him some gifts, and he wanted, we're in a position of like, you get older and you're like, well, what do you want? Pick out what you want and I'll pay for it type thing. So he wanted stuff for his truck, for the truck we have. So I bought him some truck accessories. And that was like $150, $170, so it's fine. We went to a restaurant for our anniversary. So that was like $100 or so. And, that's fine. And then March 9th is his birthday. So we celebrated his birthday with the same thing. I think we ordered pizza or something, because I have pizza on here for like $84.13. Because when we order like pizzas and, what do you call those? Like the chicken bites and the lava cakes, and we just order everything. So we ended up, for $85 you end up eating pizza for like 4 days for 3 people. So I don't know, do the math on that for how much it costs per meal. So that was fine. In that money, that miscellaneous money, was truck payments. So I paid for the truck. So every 2 weeks we pay $392.18, and that's standard. That's normal. I needed packing tape. I sell a lot of stuff online, so it was $21.69 for a big pack of packing tape from Home Depot. So that had to be paid. My sister found me a big lot of ponies again in Ontario, so I sent her $60 to pay for the ponies, and I haven't got them yet, but I know I'm going to make my money back on that, so I'm not worried. But it's still an expense, it still costs. What else? We paid internet as usual. I paid that. It's $100.03. I'm still waiting. In March has finished, and I'm still waiting for my man to call them to try and get it cheaper, and he hasn't done it yet. He doesn't know what to say and stuff like that, so I told him what to say and try and call and everything, and he just hasn't done it yet. So, and I said like I told you guys before, I can't call, it's not on my name. What are you going to do about it? So what else? Is there anything else on here that I haven't mentioned? No, because it all breaks down to the things I mentioned. It all breaks down to groceries, restaurants, debt repayment, or ponies for the extravaganza stuff. We did go to an arcade. There was an arcade that opened up, so we wanted to have some entertainment. So like I said, the first half of the month, it was great. I felt fine, and we were doing it, and I paid my debt, so I was really happy and stuff. And then near the end of the month, the last week of the month, I started feeling very down because the number was so high of money that I spent that I was like, oh my God, like that's a lot of money, guys. Like my account now, I don't have much money. Okay. So it's just so much, but in like, you know, the left hand, I'm super happy. I'm out of debt. I'm debt free. So now from now on, it's going to be, you know, I'm not going to be spending this much money each month. And then the other hand, I'm like, oh my God, I had that much money. I paid over $4,000 in debt. And I'm like, you know, it's really stupid. So I start feeling like down about it, which is, I don't know. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? You're happy and elated, and then you're like sad and depressed. So we went to an arcade. We said, we're going to go to an arcade. We wanted to take our son to the arcade. He's never been, and I've never been. It's like one that opened up. And it's kind of like Chuck E. Cheese or Dave and Buster's in the United States. Like there's machines that will give you points and tickets to go get prizes. And then there's stuff that you just play the game and you can win like stuffed animals and stuff like that. And it was actually really fun. So that cost $105 for 3 people. And it was great. So another thing about low buy year getting out of debt, I want to do like more fun stuff. We're not a family that goes out and does much stuff or takes vacation together and stuff like that. So I want to like do more fun entertainment stuff. So the arcade is part of that. And I'm okay with that. It was really fun. We want to go back. Okay, so we talked about the outs. Let's talk about the ins. Because you spend money, you make money type thing. So I made $3,814.59 for March. That's how much money I had physically coming in. And like I mentioned before, this low buy year concerns me and my spending and my income, not my family's. Okay? That's their own issues. So what's been happening is kind of funny is that I make these videos on like the last day of the month, like close to the last day of the month. And then I think twice or 3 times now I've sold, twice. I sold something on Poshmark the day after I made the video. So I think that's funny. So February 28th, I made 2 sales on Poshmark, so it was $40. But like I said, it's just funny. And I'm like, I just did the video. I'm like, oh, well, too late. You're just going to put it in March, right? For my anniversary, March 3rd, my boyfriend gave me $500 in money. So I took that $500 and I put it on my line of credit. So that was great. I was thrilled. I got paid twice in March. I get $1,113.95 if I do 80 hours of work. I get paid every 2 weeks. One of my paychecks was messed up this week. There was missing roughly, I don't know, I think it was missing like 20 something dollars or 30 something dollars, something like that. Yeah, because you have to punch in at work with your little finger on this little thing, and you have to punch out for lunch and punch back in for lunch, and then punch that you're leaving. Well, I forgot to punch back in for lunch, so the system, it looked like I left the building at 12 o'clock, and then it registered me punching back in at like 2:30. So I totally forgot to punch back into lunch, and I forgot to say, oh, I messed up. So because of that, there's a little thing. So they told me they're gonna fix it on my next pay, which is fine. So, you know, we had a child tax benefit check come in from the government. It's something you get in Quebec, Canada, until your kid turns 18. So that was like $412.07. But that money is for the kid, basically. So if he needs something, we buy it for him, type thing. I went and cashed in more lottos. I mentioned before, I have a stack of lottos. I used to play the lotto, like scratch cards and 649 and the Lotto Max all the time. And what happened was I got such a backlog that I have like stacks like this high. and you have 1 year to claim your lottos or you lose them. So I cashed in anything from April, May, June, July. I took 4 months of tickets down to the Lotto Quebec little kiosk thing. It's a place where it's only Lotto Quebec, so it doesn't matter how long you take, because I was going to stores and pharmacies and grocery stores to cash in my tickets. And what was happening was I was cashing in my tickets, and you make a big lineup, and many times I got accosted by people like, oh, you're taking too long, you're holding up the line, you have too many tickets. So I just stopped. Going, because I didn't want to have to deal with that. I didn't want people treating me like that, so I just stopped going. So I started going into a mall, to the actual little, they have a kiosk that they sit in, and I told the lady, I said, that's what's been happening. And sometimes when you go to the depanars and you hand over your tickets, so I hand over 5 tickets at $5 each, so I won $25. I said, here, I won $25. And then he goes, no, you only won 20. And I said, no, I didn't. I won $5 per ticket. There's 5 tickets. And he didn't want to give me my other $5. And then after like 5 minutes of arguing, he's like, oh, I found the ticket, it's here. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Sure. So I told the lady at the Lotto Quebec thing, and she told me that is super common, and that happens all the time. Is they want you to hand over all your tickets, and then they say, oh, you didn't win, and they don't give you everything. And apparently they've had reports from stores and places doing this all the time. So she said, come to the little kiosk, because when you go to that kiosk, everybody knows it takes long because people go with their stacks. So she was very super nice, very professional. She explained to me everything, and you know, I know we're kind of like getting off the subject here, but it's just something. So I cashed in my lottos, and it was $156 that I ended up winning. So I kept that money. Total sales for Poshmark and Marketplace this month, that includes the one I sold in February, was $547.25. And that's just stuff I'm getting rid of in my house. Part of the low buy year attached to the pantry challenge is also attached to a declutter organization thing for my house where stuff's got to go. So I'm trying to sell more. So I sell mostly on Poshmark now because tariffs are still in from the United States, so I cannot sell in the United States, and I won't do it because I won't support the tariffs. So $3,814.59 is what I had come in this month. Okay guys, so what did we do in March? What did we change, and how did we get out of debt, etc.? So the first thing I did was, I mentioned I paid that line of credit off with one of the banks I had. So because I paid it off and I closed it, I no longer needed the bank account that's attached to it. The bank account was only open to pay the line of credit. So my main bank would transfer money to the bank account, which would transfer money to the line of credit. So I closed the bank account. I no longer have that bank account. I'm no longer affiliated with that bank, which means I also am no longer getting charged a bank fee every month for that bank. So I saved money there. Plus, it's less of a headache to streamline all your stuff and not have multiple banks and accounts everywhere. So I'm very grateful. So now I have 2 bank accounts, my main bank that does everything, and the second bank account with another branch that has my kids' school fund in it. I can't do anything with that, as I mentioned before, until he turns 18 in July. Once he turns 18 in July, then we can transfer it to my main bank and not get penalized or charged for transferring it, as far as I know. So we have to wait. So that's still open. Fine. Talk about the closing of the bank account. Let me tell you something that was so stupid to me and frustrating that it's ridiculous. I phoned the bank to ask, hey, how do we go about closing an account with you? Right? And they said, oh, okay, it's no problem. You just need to have all your money transferred out of the account. You need to make sure nothing's going into your account, so any checks or whatever, move them. And then you just call us and we'll close your account. So I'm like, okay, thank you, I'll call back. So I call back, and then they told me, another person on the phone told me, did you get your money out? I said, yeah. Did you change your stuff? I'm like, yeah. And she goes, okay, we're going to close your account, but it's going to cost you $20. And I'm like, what? I said, no, I talked to the first guy. He didn't say it's going to cost $20. And she goes, yeah, if you close an account over the phone, it costs $20. But if you physically go into any of the branches, they're going to get this. They're going to charge you $20 and then they're going to reimburse you $20 just to show a transaction that you closed the account. And I was like, what? What? And so I told the person on the phone, I'm like, you know, the whole reason I got rid of your bank was because you moved and you're far. So, anyways, at the we had a driver's license now in a truck, so we drove to a branch that wasn't far from work, at least, and we walked in, and I said, I want to close my account. Everything's zero. So we checked everything, and he goes, oh, you had a line of credit, it's closed. I said, yes, it's done. And he goes, okay, we're going to close the account. I said, fine. I said, how much is it going to cost me? And the guy looked at me, and he's like, nothing. And I'm like, what do you mean nothing? The person on the phone told me $20. And he goes, oh, no, I'm not. He was like, I really like, call them Italian stallions. Like very macho and, you know, like chains and like kind of sexy looking. And he's like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a charge of 28 cents. And I'm going to cash out the 28 cents like you gave it to me. And here's your paperwork. And now everything's closed and you don't have to pay nothing. And I'm like, okay. So he was so funny. He was so cute. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, thank you very much, sir. You're great. Have a good day. So I'm done. So I'm free with that bank. I started shopping at Bulk Barn again. So I've mentioned this before. Bulk Barn is a place in Canada that sells package-free food. Not bulk as in 50-pound bags of flour, but bulk as in package-free. So because I've been going on the Sunday with my own containers, you save 15% off when you bring your own containers. So you're basically not paying tax. They give you coupons. So you can put a coupon on top of your 15% off and get an extra $5 off. And then you can buy the stuff that's already on special, saving more money. So we've been saving more money by shopping Bulk Barn, and as a result, I'm making less waste and less packaging. So it's making a difference. And I am so thrilled because I am officially debt-free. I have zero debt. I have zero credit card debt. I have no line of credits. I have nothing. So moving forward, it should make the low buy year, I'm hoping, easier. I should be able now to save and keep money in my account. And with that being said, something major happened. We don't know what's gonna happen. So part of this low buy year for me was to try and get some savings. Like, you're supposed to have savings, you're supposed to have an emergency fund. They say you're supposed to keep like 3 months of life expenses in an account, stuff like that, and I don't have that. So I'm making this video on April 3rd, Friday, and yesterday, April 2nd, Thursday, after finishing work early, we got into a car accident. And I remember there was a rig turning. We were turning after the rig onto the street, and we got hit from, I want to say, diagonally from behind. So not direct behind into the back of the pickup truck, but he took out the back fender. So he hit diagonally on us because he was speeding up the street into the lane, and he said he didn't see us behind the rig. So he hit us, and I remember the impact, and it wasn't it's not a total loss, and it's not a major accident. The airbags didn't even go off in both our cars, my truck and his car. But I remember the impact, and I said to my man, I said, okay, we're okay. We're okay. You know, like, because it could have been like 10 times, we could be dead. You know what I mean? Like, if we would have, like, if he would have hit us so hard to push us into the rig or something, like, I don't know. I don't even want to think about it, but I just remember thinking that, okay, we got hit and we're okay. So we pull over and I called 911 and I'm like, look, we've been in a car accident and nobody's hurt. And they asked all kinds of questions. Did the airbag go off? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, the airbag didn't go off and stuff like that. So they said, the only thing you have to do is make a report, take pictures. You can do it online and stuff like that. The police are not coming. They're not sending anybody because you guys are okay. And it's not major enough. I'm like, okay. So the guy, he has some damage to his corner front bumper because that's where he hit us, and he said he's not claiming anything. He's not doing insurance. He's not claiming. He doesn't want nothing for us, and he left. And I'm like, okay. So we came home, and that right away my man did the claim online to our insurance because we are paying very high insurance. When we bought that truck brand new from the dealer, it's a brand new truck. We just bought it. I don't even think we've had it January, February, March, December. I don't even think we've had that truck 5 months. And I paid like $50,000 for that truck. I paid for that truck. That's my truck. My man drives it because he's the one who has the driver's license. And he's the one paying all the insurance. So we took extra insurance. And we even took... There's like insurance they offer you that covers this. And there's insurance they offer you that covers this. That this one doesn't cover, which is ridiculous in my opinion, but whatever. So we're paying I would say a lot for insurance. We pay for total replacement, so we don't know what's going to happen. But you know, this is the reason for a low buy year and to figure out our finances, because you don't know what's going to happen when. And I'm just so grateful that we're okay. But I was just devastated. I don't get emotional very often, and I don't cry very often. I usually cry in frustration. I'm that kind of person. But in the end, after I got off the phone and everything, I like bawled my eyes out. And I wasn't hurt or nothing, but I was just so like, we finally got a license. We finally got a truck. We're finally getting on our feet. Things are finally looking up, and then you get hit into an accident. And so right now my boyfriend's at work, and the truck, the fender is really messed up and stuff like that. So we're gonna cross our fingers and hope that the insurance is going to cover everything, and that the dealer is going to take it back in replacement. I don't know if we're gonna have to pay anything. I don't know how it works. Do we have to pay first and then they cover it? I don't know. You know, is it gonna be some kind of loophole? They're gonna come back and tell us that, oh, it's not covered, and I have no idea. This just happened yesterday, so we're gonna see. But it's a stark reminder to get your stuff in order, to have money in the bank in case stuff happens. So apart from that, I am super happy. I'm debt free, and it took 3 months, January, February, March, to get debt free. And I did go extreme. I did spend over $4,000 something to pay off the debt this month, but it was worth every penny, and I'm fine with it. So we're moving on to April, and so far April, apart from the accident, so far the finances in April are looking okay. And we're going to see how we're going to go. And I'll see you next month. I'll have an update, hopefully, on the truck and the insurance and cost for that. And I'll see you next time, guys. And stay safe out there. Bye.